hey!
Hello there, my name's Adam Cook and I'm joined by Adam Carroll. Alright, mate?
Hello, friend. How are you?
I'm great. I mean, I'm excited because you have been to play a sequel to a game that I and my whole family actually really liked. You have played Ni No Kuni 2. I think you played quite a bit of it, like 4 hours or something, isn't it?
Yeah, 4 hours that way. We got to play 2 chapters, chapter 3 and 4.
Right.
So, obviously, it's out there. Like, I love the first Ni No Kuni. I think it's an incredible game. This is interesting. Like, Ni No Kuni 2 is incredibly interesting in many ways, right? I think the first thing to address is Studio Ghibli are not part of this game, okay?
No, it still kind of looks like... Well, I mean, it looks like Ni No Kuni 1, doesn't it? So I suppose...
Yeah, it does. From a visual standpoint, it is still great. It's still great a lot of the time. I think once the full game comes out, there was a couple of animations that I wasn't too gone on, but like, look, it is a preview, so we'll see how it is in there. But it still does nail the effect of the first one.
Yeah.
So within chapter 3, we were put into a new town called Goalpaw. Within Goalpaw, there is it's just a place that runs on money. Like, it's all about money. It's all about taxes and stuff. Like, it's like the roll of a dice judges the tax paying situation within the town, and it's a very, immediately from the word go in this chapter, this game and story has a more of an adult theme.
Oh, okay.
It just feels, because I heard that before going in, like they were saying to us that like they're striking the story to be more of an adult story, because it is about a young kid called Evan who is trying to build his kingdom again after being dethroned, and that alone I think is really cool. When I first heard that, I was like, that's pretty wicked. A kid building a kingdom, like it's because that's designed for people our age but also kids, right? Mm-hmm. So within Goalpaw you get to run around, talk to all the town folk, and everyone doesn't seem that happy. Everyone seems very stressed because of their money problems, and that is something I think was very interesting to me.
We can all identify with that.
Man, everyone can. And to have this in a game instantly was really interesting. Now, the situation is, with the mission that we had to do, well, the objective was we got scammed in a certain like mini game part where it was the roll of a dice and we owed money back to a certain character. But what's really funny within the town is when a character is in debt, there is this like insanely weird bird that floats beside your character and just keeps shouting, "You owe me."
Blimey.
And it's really nuts, and it adds a lot of charm, like these small things, because when you walk around, it's staying floating behind you. You go into you have to go to a certain casino and you talk to the other characters, and they're all sitting there like really, really down because they're in debt and they have this bird shouting, "You owe me." And it's kind of humorous, but it's not at the same time in that sense. The animation of Evan, right?
Yeah.
Is superb. I think all the characters have this amazing touch to their clothes, what they wear, their outfits. Like, it moves so well. Like, it's one part that I noticed that was just fantastic. There is a thing, however, that popped up, and this, I don't know what the purpose of this was, but it prompted L3. I clicked it, and what it did was it brought me into a thing called Leaf Book. Now,
Right.
this is apparently the social network of the Ni No Kuni world.
Right.
I don't know what purpose this had. As soon as I opened it, because as I said, we were put into the third chapter, so anything tutorial based was just out the window. Like we were just thrown in there, and there was a couple of things already that were added to Leafbook. But from what I gathered, these were pictures and comments from the other characters in the game talking about it, and you could like them, but I don't know the purpose of it. Like, it wasn't really explained. Like, if it has a purpose, then great. But from what I played, I don't think I'll ever use it.
What? Because what I was intrigued by is I like the first game, but I followed this one kind of from a distance because it sort of got delayed, didn't it? And I thought, well, it's kind of a given that I'll play it, if you know what I mean. It's one of those. What does it? I mean, obviously the story's different, but what does it do differently? Like, is the combat the same? What sort of?
Okay,
because what I was worried about is that with the lack of Studio Ghibli, would it kind of, given the art style and the colourfulness, would it kind of become a Tales of game?
No, spot on, because that is really what it is.
Okay,
like. There's no beating around the bush here. It is literally the exact same combat as the Tales series. Now,
right.
I enjoy that a lot.
Okay.
But this preview event, for me, was my first hands-on with Ni No Kuni 2. So, there was a few others who already played it beforehand. So, when we sat down, all our characters were way overpowered.
Right.
So, if you've ever played a Tales game, when you go into a battle, they end very fast in the early hours of the game, because it's just like, it almost looks like a hack and slash at times. Like you press square for light attacks and triangle for heavy attacks. And the combat is definitely better for me personally, but I don't know, will everyone enjoy it? Because like the combat in Ni No Kuni 1 was what worked for me, like, as well, but it was more convoluted, I found. This is more, it's more suitable for newcomers, I guess. But like, because if you remember in the first one, you had all your familiars.
Yeah.
Now in this, there is Hickledies, which are look, the only way to describe them is they're like Pikmin, and they do there is charm to them, but if you remember in the first game, you used to kind of you would control your familiar and give its attack or whatever and tell it what to do.
Yeah.
The Hickledies you don't actually control really in battles, but they're more like buffs. So you can run over to them. If you go into their circle that they make and press X, it will give like a health boost, like a circle of health boost, that if you stay in it boosts up your health, or it'll do an attack to the enemy. But I think where the Hickledies shine the most is in the skirmish mode.
Okay.
Now, that is something where people have been a bit hesitant on. I loved it. I thought this is really cool. It almost comes across like a little mini game where you find these modes also in the open world. So you approach this like certain flag, you build up your army, you pick your certain fighters and stuff, and you go forward and you take on armies of Hickledies and stuff. It's really charming, it's really satisfying, and it's quite fun to charge into one another. I can find myself doing that a lot in the game, but I don't know if everyone's going to be up for it, because the big thing I took away from Ni No Kuni 2 was there's a lot to it. There's a lot more put into this game than just your standard story. Like, within chapter 4, we're greeted to kingdom building. So you start to build the kingdom of Evermore. Now, this is all cool and everything, but it just added again another part of the game.
More,
where I was like, okay, so what's this now? Now, look, more sometimes can be good, but sometimes it can be just too much.
Is it a case of, because I mean, even though you were chapter 3 and 4, I mean, the reason they wouldn't have shown you the opening one is because I guess too many story spoilers. But is it a case, do you think, of like they're setting up a lot there? Because it's going to be a long game, it's an RPG, and it's a JRPG at that. So I mean, I wonder if it's a case of, although there's a lot, you're kind of in that part of the game, because there's always a part of the game where that, you know, in that style of game where there's a lot, you know.
Definitely, man. Like the kingdom building is cool, and it's not as like when it first got introduced, I went, oh, like this is going to be a massive learning curve here.
I mean,
it's
what
not
kind
so
of
much
kingdom building are we talking? Do you remember Dark Cloud? Are we talking that sort of thing where it's like
It's
an RPG, action RPG?
Yeah.
You know, really?
Yeah, it's kind of like that in a sense. Like when
But
you
you are
build,
physically build. You are, well, not physically building, but you are placing things.
so we're not talking something like Dragon Quest Builders or Minecraft. It's not
No,
that
no,
kind of
no,
sense.
no. But more
It's like
like
you place a building.
Wow.
It will build, and you basically hire people to come and work in your kingdom. And the more people you have in certain areas, like a blacksmith, if you've more blacksmiths, the faster they build the stuff that you want and the gear that you want.
But so that sounds weird because it's like, rather than propelling yourself through a story that lasts 30 hours, the conceit of the story seems to be that you are building your kingdom, and that's kind of what you're doing. So I'm guessing that aside that, you're then going to be going off and doing other story things, but kind of always coming back to, or maybe there's a bigger story that takes over, you know?
That's it. I really like, that's where I think the game's story is the biggest highlight.
Yeah.
Because I do think that the story of Evan and stuff it's going to be like, because I remember Oliver in the first one, like I was all about it. I loved the whole story of the first one, and I think 2 has a lot of heart again. Like there's even more heart at points, because I do feel that that the building of the kingdom and where it might lead is going to be super fascinating, and I think it's going to really pay off, because we got to see some behind the scenes stuff, and what the behind the scenes we saw, it looked incredible, like the other moments that seemed to be in the game. Like there's just a lot in this game, like, and it's probably going to be another 60 to 80 hour game that we're going to get. Also as well, for people who are wondering, everyone remembers Drippy from the first one.
I sort of didn't want to ask, but go on.
Yeah. So we now have Lofty.
Okay.
So Lofty is also Welsh.
Yep.
And everything is also tidy.
Okay. Is it bang tidy or just tidy?
Yeah, it's bang tidy.
Okay.
It's a very similar thing again. Now,
that's fine.
I didn't really get much time with the voice acting and stuff, because if I'm brutally honest, it's something that slightly killed me, but I was really hoping that this was going to take away grunts.
Okay.
The grunts and the sighing within the dialogue. Like there's all the voice acting cutscenes, but like, I don't know, man, it's just like, do you know when you're going through the text and it's just a grunt you get? Like, it's only a small thing, but for how big this game seems to be, I wish it would just maybe have gone a bit further with the voice acting. So I can't really comment on the likes of the characters, because there wasn't much to it. So just as well, when you're out in the open world, you might have seen in previous videos, there's your character that looks like, they basically look at the characters in World of Final Fantasy. Do you know the big-headed things? Some people weren't that gone in it. It seemed to be in the case in like previous times, but like, I think it's really charming. Like the whole game is very charming. However, when I found when I was navigating through this world, there's a lot of you think you're going the right way, and you might come to the invisible wall, and you're not able to jump down off the little like stump of hill that you're on.
Yeah.
It just slows the progress down a lot, because you'd have to go back, and there's no sprint mechanic. There is a lot of fast travel, and the fast travel is very, very good in it. Like, you can pretty much fast travel nearly anywhere in the game. It's an adventurous game. Like, there's a lot of different in it, and it's going to be interesting to see the final product.
Yeah.
Because of how much people love the first one.
Well, it does sound like there is a lot of game here. So I guess, listen, stay tuned to godisgeek.com, because we will be covering it obviously all the way up to release, and then eventually reviewing it. You can probably tweet questions to Adam at Adam Zoax, Zoax, that is on Twitter, and I'm sure he would try and answer as many of the questions as you send that he can. I'm still interested. I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess. It sounds like you're the same. You're still very hopeful for it.
I think with a game like this, like 4 hours is only it's hard to tell with only 4 hours.
It's a lot for a preview, but not a lot for a game like this.
But what I will say, I'm really happy there's a second Ni No Kuni, because I do think it's a very charming series.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and we could all do with a bit more sort of colour and happiness in our life.
Absolutely.
Well, as always, stay tuned to GodIsAGeek.com, and thank you very much for your time, Adam.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.